Hello and welcome to another episode of the SJSU Online Spotlight Series, where you'll learn about the people, insights, opportunities, and value of SJSU Online, which creates opportunities for you to complete your bachelor's degree 100% online at one of the most transformative universities in the United States. Today, we're joined by SJSU faculty and alumni, Amanda Feldman, who's going to discuss her experiences with researching and teaching the whole person through anthropology. So looking forward to our conversation today. Before we get into the topic, I was wondering if you could just introduce yourself to our viewers so they can learn a little bit more about you and your background. And if you could highlight maybe a few of the significant moments that shaped who you are and led you to become an SJSU alumni and faculty member and part of our SJSU Online anthropology faculty.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a physical anthropologist, so I study humans from a biological and evolutionary perspective. And I've been teaching at San Jose State for several years now. I also teach at De Anza Community College. So I've had a lot of awesome opportunities. And I did go to San Jose State for my master's. So I've been pretty familiar with San Jose State, kind of teaching here, being a student here. So it's been a fun journey for me. I got into teaching. It took me a while to even figure out what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I don't know why when I was younger, but I'm not that funny, so it doesn't totally make sense. But now students have to listen to my jokes, so that kind of works out. I really liked to learn, and I was somewhat of a class clown, honestly. When I was in school, I used to do a lot of improv comedy and get involved with the drama club. And whenever my teachers needed a guinea pig for a class demo or something like that, I was always on board with that. So it was fun. I think I just gravitated towards doing things that involved uh, engaging audiences and making people laugh and kind of talking about interesting ideas. So it did take a while to figure out what kind of career I wanted to go into, but before teaching, I did have some experience teaching SAT and ACT classes, the writing portion for high school students. That was an experience. Over summer, nobody really wants to be in class over summer, especially as a high school student. So that was kind of a challenge. And, they had to learn about writing and subordinate clauses and all of that. I don't even remember what subordinate clauses are. But yeah, it was a very different environment, but I think I kind of adapted to that and was just having fun, trying to come up with creative activities and ways to get people excited about learning different things. So yeah, I was definitely still new to teaching then, and it would get really loud. Occasionally my boss would be like, "What is going on in that classroom?" Um, I was just like, "I'm not even sure." But I also, when I went to UC Santa Cruz, volunteered for the Cal Teach program and taught science to eighth graders. Middle school students are brutal, so you definitely learn a lot about teaching in that kind of environment and how to be really creative and explain difficult concepts, especially scientific concepts. So eventually, I think I just kind of realized like I could actually do something like this as a career. I could teach people, get people really excited about the applications of anthropology. So that's kind of how I made my way into teaching.
Oh, wow. What a cool story. Yeah. I think like you pointed out earlier, you wouldn't think that someone who wants to be a stand-up comedian would eventually go into teaching. But, to some extent, like teaching is a bit of like performance, right? You do have to think
Right.
about how to really, like you highlighted, like really engage people, make the content really interesting, make it fun, make it interactive. And especially if you think about that in an online context too, it's even more of a performance in a way because you're kind of constrained to this box in some sense. Yeah, and it was just really cool hearing about kind of these different experiences that you had, um, over your lifetime, and how probably at the time they probably seemed like fairly distinct experiences in terms of like your experience in school, and then as you were teaching SAT and ACT, and then the Cal Teach program. But eventually, like all these kind of became like these like foundational pieces in terms of who you are now and what you're doing now, and then combining that with your background in studying anthropology at the undergraduate and graduate level. And I think that's a good transition into our first question. You highlighted already that you studied anthropology at UC Santa Cruz, and then you also studied anthropology at SJSU, got your graduate degree from here, where you also received the Outstanding Thesis Award. Probably not a surprise given your extensive background, especially with being able to like teach the writing portion of the SAT, for example. So I was wondering, just with all that experience that you've had studying anthropology at the undergraduate level, the graduate level, your thesis experience, how have those things shaped your worldview and your professional trajectory for yourself?
Yeah, interesting question. I think I was just really drawn to anthropology in college, and it's not the study of ants, unfortunately. It's the study of humans, but it was great for me because I had so many different scientific interests. Like I liked learning about osteology, I liked anatomy, I liked learning about evolution and different animals, but I also was really interested in like culture and societal issues, and anthropology was a really great kind of marriage of the two. Like we're studying humans from a very holistic perspective. So that was really fascinating to me. Um, I found the biological side definitely very interesting. I was specifically focusing on forensic anthropology and kind of studying osteology. So I went to UC Santa Cruz and was able to uh, take courses in forensic anthropology, biological anthropology, and I did have some field school experiences. So I did training at archaeological sites in Belize, at Mayan sites, and also Roman burial sites in Spain. So it was a really, both of those experiences were really great opportunities and kind of showed me what you can do in the field. There were definitely challenges because I like to be indoors with air conditioning and no mosquitoes, and I'm a little bit lazy, honestly. But you really work hard out there, and it's like a life-changing experience. So that was really cool to actually get that perspective of what anthropologists can do, all these different variations in the field. I was learning about what anthropologists do in different classes, learning in archaeological settings. Um, and then at San Jose State, I had a lot of great guidance and support. I had some assistance with Dr. Lorna Pierce, who was the forensic anthropologist for Santa Clara County, and she was helping me with the forensic study that I did. So I studied sharp force trauma, which is basically knife marks in a forensic setting. So I studied these knife marks on pig ribs. Different types of knives produce different, um, different cut marks, and we could apply that to forensic research. So winning the award was really surprising for me because I didn't expect to actually get that. It was a bit of a shock, but it was pretty awesome. And um, ever since then, like I've really appreciated kind of having those like mentoring opportunities and all the guidance and support that I've had from colleagues and my mentors. So I started teaching um, and had a lot of great memories. It's a very supportive department, and Shannon, who works at SJSU Online. She was working in the anthropology department for a while, and she was such a great sport with my crazy experiment ideas. There was one time we drove over to this barbecue restaurant to pick up a whole bunch of pig ribs that I could use for my research. And I'm pretty sure the staff are just like, wow, this is a lot of ribs here. Are you guys having a party or something? But it was really great to have mentors and my colleagues that were really always there to assist me and give me recommendations and ideas. So I think that's one of the biggest influences I've had on my career path, just the people around me giving me support and guidance. I kind of tried to take that and apply it to my own teaching and supporting students as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that background with us. Yeah, I just found that so just interesting how you kind of came into the discipline and the field initially, like, just through your own interests, and then really thinking about how those things can kind of intersect with these other areas that you're interested in as well, right? Thinking about anthropology and intersection with forensics and biology, and then just having access to all these other opportunities that came along with it. The opportunities for, like you said, for research, for field work, for mentorship, and just really learning more about yourself throughout that whole process in terms of really just refining what trajectory you saw for yourself, and then, like you finished with, really thinking about how you can take those lessons that you learned and then think about how you can kind of reapply those as you're now on the other end of it as a teacher for our students in the anthropology program. And that's a good transition into the next question. So you're teaching the course modernity I just have trouble with that word, modernity and the disease, through our SJSU Online Anthropology program. And I was wondering if you can provide a general overview of what that course consists of, and then how you go about creating valuable learning experiences for our students, if you have an example or two that you wouldn't mind sharing.
Sure. So this course provides an overview of the effects of modern lifestyles on health in our species. So I find this topic super interesting, and I'm really drawn to it because it's so personally relevant for so many people. So it's a really exciting course for me to teach. There are a lot of great topics that we'll be talking about, and I hope to also provide ways for people to think about how to make empowering health decisions, just knowing about some of the effects that our modern lifestyles have on our bodies, like sedentary office jobs and smartphones, screens. What kinds of things can we do to help improve our health, our environments that we live in? But the course is also unique as a biological or physical anthropology course, because it also goes into some of the evolutionary perspectives and comparisons with other primates. For instance, humans are primates, but how are we similar with other primates like chimpanzees, and what kind of health issues are very specific to humans today compared to past human societies. So I like to kind of use activities that just prime student curiosity and creativity, and then we can dig deeper into the topic. So really just like step outside of the box and think, humans are bipeds and walk on two legs. It's kind of weird. We're the only mammals that really have that kind of movement pattern, and other mammals are quadrupeds. So why is that? What kind of challenges does that create for us? Things like back problems and other effects of bipedalism on the body. We go into detail about that. So I like to make connections, talk about real cases and research experiences whenever possible, and also just activities for students to kind of get away from their desk and do something like take a photo of something related to this topic, or interview someone about this topic to still bring in some sort of interactive components. Um, and I'll often get students that tell me, like later on, they'll bring up, I was talking with a friend about this topic we talked about in class, and we had this whole discussion on it. And, we were both wondering about this. So it's kind of an interesting way to still promote like interactivity and get students thinking about the material just in their everyday lives. I like to try and incorporate those activities because I think they're really great learning moments for people to just actually think about the real world impacts. So it's what I try to do.
Awesome. Yeah, you said there at the end just what I was thinking as you were describing that, and how it's really thinking about the application of this to their, everyone's everyday lives, at least for the students who are taking the class. And I'm sure that it sounds like there's no shortage of, examples or topics really that you could really focus on and really bring into the classroom. Um, and I'm just thinking about it. I was trying to put myself in the place of being a student in the class, like thinking about what that means for you as also someone who's completing their degree online, right? Like this class can really help you think through like how to, think about the impact, or like, what type of habits you want to create for yourself, or what kind of lifestyle as you're completing your degree online, and all the things that requires. But then thinking about how to, extrapolate that even beyond the classroom into your home, into your workplace, as you maybe become a leader or a manager of a team, and thinking about the potential impact of modernity and how that affects people in terms of like our modern lifestyle. So yeah, really cool. And it sounds like a lot of fun. So thanks for sharing that. And I think with that too, I wanted to transition a little bit just to your teaching experience in general. You alluded to at the beginning that you not only teaching at SJSU, but also teaching at De Anza. And I think you've also taught at some other CSUs and community colleges in the past. So I was wondering if you can discuss how your teaching practices have kind of evolved over time, and how you go about incorporating your background as an anthropologist into your teaching practices.
Yeah, I definitely incorporate probably way too many cat facts in my lectures now. I have this special skill to always bring up cats somehow and connect it to the topic. Um, but it's great to actually just make comparisons sometimes with other animals, other primates, and get people to think creatively about these topics. So I've really started to use those types of learning experiences a lot more over time. And I've based some of my practices just on my own struggles and strategies that I had when I was a student. Uh, I ended up kind of sharpening the axe. I guess there's that quote where if you're given an hour to chop down a tree, you can spend the first like 45 minutes sharpening the axe, however that quote goes. But for me, that was helpful. So having a lot of time to just prime my interest, expose myself to all the different knowledge that's applicable, um, even just anything that I found interesting. Like when I was a student trying to do my grad school research, I wasn't totally sure where to begin, but I just started by just reading articles, peer-reviewed articles. It didn't have to be even related to my topic, but just anything that I could kind of deepen my curiosity. And then that allowed me to just kind of get familiar with writing styles, the way people talk about research, the way that people present information. It became so much more familiar. And I ended up going down tangents with random cat facts, and somehow ended up on a Wikipedia page about sporks and other utensils, and that got somehow cemented into my long-term memory. But I, the cat facts are not necessarily important, maybe just a small amount, but just priming the sense of curiosity and getting students a bit more active in the learning process can be very empowering and more curious just about the world around them. That allows people to really dive in and think about all the specific nuances. So I try to get people curious and excited, and also just get people to think critically and learn how to be a lifelong learner. How do you motivate yourself to learn information in any situation? I think that's a really fundamental strategy in any field and any career. So that can be very useful for students. And of course, learning about cats is the most important part. maybe, maybe not, but um, just being able to kind of take that and figure out like how you can motivate yourself to learn about all these nuanced topics. That's been my approach as I've been teaching my courses.
Awesome. Yeah, I like how you're able to draw upon your experiences both as a student and as a teacher, and just really continue to like evolve and iterate what those practices look like. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I think it's just so important, right, to develop that sense of curiosity, inquiry, getting engaged and interested in the content that you're researching or that you're discussing. Because like you said, that can extend, and kind of sustain well beyond that one single course or a one single program that can turn into something that's a lifelong kind of habit or a lifelong skill that people have that they can apply to whatever they go into. So I think that sounds really awesome that that's the type of kind of culture and environment that you want to create in your classroom for your students to experience, not just individually, but with their classmates and with you. So just want to thank you for your time, Amanda, and for sharing your insights with us and about SJSU Online. And thank you as always to our viewers for watching. Please comment on this video if you have any questions or comments. Visit our SJSU Online website if you want to learn more about our programs and get in contact with our enrollment team. And we'll catch you in the next live stream.